10, we have Kanye West. Kanye West is no stranger to negative paparazzi interactions, and it seems that there was a certain point a few years back where he would go off the rails anytime he was encountered by a paparazzi. One time was in 2013 when Kanye walked out of a car into LAX. A paparazzi then confronted him and started complimenting him on his music. I'm not sure if something happened before, but Kanye almost immediately covered up the camera with his hands and told the paparazzi to stop speaking to him. And after what felt like a long conversation, Kanye walked off, but the paparazzi didn't really listen, and as Kanye was walking away into the airport, the paparazzi followed him and continued asking him questions. The video ends with Kanye turning around and lunging at the paparazzi, so something tells me it didn't end well. Another iconic paparazzi moment was when Kanye was walking with Kim out of a parking garage, and since he was looking down to avoid looking at the paparazzi, he ended up walking right into a pole. And it looked like it was a pretty hard hit too. Kanye stopped and held his head for a second while yelling at them to stop taking pictures, and then he walked away quickly into the restaurant. And at number 9, Alec Baldwin. Alec Baldwin is notorious for hating the paparazzi, and he's gotten in countless physical interactions with them. He was once even sued by a paparazzi for battery after he broke the paparazzi's nose. However, the jury acquitted Alec, saying he was acting in self-defense. Another time, he pinned a paparazzi to a car after he got too close to him and his wife Hilaria. Then another time he pushed a paparazzi away by the arm, telling him to get away from his building. There are even entire compilations on YouTube documenting all the times that Alec has gotten in scuffles with the paparazzi, and he definitely has a tendency to lose his temper when they get in his face. And at number 8, Miley Cyrus. Considering how famous Miley Cyrus was as a teenager, she was berated by paparazzi watching her every move. She's generally pretty cordial with them. However, once in 2011, she lashed out at a paparazzi after he got too close to her mother while they were leaving a store. Basically, they were walking out, and while the paparazzi was trying to get a picture of Miley, he ran past her mother and it looked like he shoved her. Miley then decided to push him and his camera away while telling him to never get close to her mom again. Later, she tweeted out, quote, "I hate paparazzi with a passion. Disgusting pigs." No offense to pigs.
We are now at our 5th and halfway mark with Jude Law. According to paparazzi Harsha Gopal, she was taking photos of Jude Law when he turned around and just smacked her across the face. This occurred in 2009 as Jude was leaving a restaurant in London. She says that the attack was completely unprovoked. She was with fellow paparazzi when Jude just turned around and struck her. Jude, on the other hand, claims that it was completely accidental. He claims that the camera lights were so bright that he couldn't see, so he raised his hand to cover his eyes and accidentally hit someone. People managed to capture this moment on film, and is Jude telling the truth? Was it an accident? I don't know. Well, Harsha had this to say, and I quote, "It was deliberate. You could see it in his face. Maybe he didn't realize he was hitting a girl, but he could at least apologize," end quote. In our 4th spot today, we have Lindsay Lohan. In 2010, Lindsay Lohan got heated after paparazzi swarmed her car while at an airport in Milan. So she decided to roll down her window and chuck a drink at them.
Damn, oh Lindsay, don't do that, that hurts. Why are you throwing cans on people? Are you okay? That's beer.
The Pops then proceed to harass Lohan, asking why she had a beer in the car with her in the first place. Now, this isn't the first time that Lohan has thrown stuff at the paparazzi. In 2009, Lohan was greeted with paparazzi waiting outside of her gated home. They were lifting their cameras over her fence so that they could take pictures of her. So Lindsay decided to throw eggs at them. Sadly, none of the eggs actually hit them. They just landed on the ground, by them, or on her driver's Rolls Royce.
And at number 3, Cara Delevingne. Cara Delevingne is another celebrity that has had multiple bad interactions with paparazzi, and she's vocal about her hatred of them. In one instance, when she was walking out of London's Heathrow Airport, she shoved some paparazzi while trying to get through the crowd, and it looked like she purposely walked right into them. She often covers her face when encountered by paparazzi too, as that makes the value of the tapes far lower. Another time, she was so mad about being hounded by paparazzi that she actually kicked one paparazzi's bike in their direction while screaming at them to get out of her face. She also tweeted her distaste for photographers once, writing, quote, "The paparazzi only get worse. I'm not complaining, but I just find it sad that I can't live in my own city for that reason. I refuse to let these grown men treat people like objects with no feelings and get away with it. I will never be silent." In at number 2, Demi Lovato. Last year, after Demi Lovato suffered a terrible OD that almost took her life, she took to Instagram stories to reflect on some of the lessons she learned from that terrible time. She also took the time to call out the paparazzi, who'd been hounding her more than usual because of the huge news. She said in an Instagram story, quote, "Dear Popsmirazzi, 1, I'm not doing anything newsworthy. 2, I'm purposely re-wearing the same 3 lazy bum outfits over and over again that I've already been photographed in so you can't make any more money off of them. You're literally wasting your time." And obviously she was extremely annoyed by the paparazzi to take the time to call them out on her massive Instagram. And at number 1, Jennifer Lawrence. Jennifer Lawrence doesn't have social media accounts, so she's not able to tweet about how much she hates the paparazzi, but she still makes sure to bring it up in interviews when she has the chance. Like in one interview with Vogue, where she said, quote, "If I were just your average 23-year-old girl and I called the police to say that they were strange men sleeping on my lawn and following me to Starbucks, they would leap into action. But because I'm a famous person, well, sorry ma'am, there's nothing we can do. It makes no sense. I'm not okay with it. It's as simple as that. I'm just a normal girl and a human being. And I haven't been in this long enough to feel like this is my new normal. I'm not going to find peace with it." Jen has also talked about how she doesn't like fame and how fan interactions make her really uncomfortable. So that's obviously a big part of the reason that she maintains such a low profile most of the time.
At number 9, John Mayer and Jessica Simpson. Speaking of Jessica Simpson, she seems to have a reputation for having her relationships exposed by paparazzi. Photographers caught John Mayer and Jessica Simpson while on vacation in Cabo, and when they captured the photos of the couple, they had no clue that they had actually witnessed the exact moment that their relationship ended. Apparently, their relationship had been rocky for a while, so I'm guessing that this is why photographers were following the couple so intently looking for a scoop. I doubt they were expecting to strike gold with this picture. As they snapped the photo and released it to the public, news of their breakup broke, but it doesn't seem like John and Jessica had even the slightest chance of keeping their breakup under wraps. I still can't believe that it was actually confirmed that their relationship officially ended seconds before these pictures were taken. That's insane. Before we carry on talking about these juicy celebrity hookups, why not take a moment to leave a like on this video if you're enjoying it so far, and while you're at it, consider subscribing to the channel to see more videos like this one. At number 8, Dakota Johnson and Chris Martin. When fans are really invested in a couple, they will do anything to get the latest relationship gossip. Same goes for when a celebrity calls it quits. For the next few weeks after their breakup announcement, paparazzi will be everywhere trying to catch a glimpse of those people trying to look for a scoop. Well, this is exactly what happened with Dakota Johnson and Chris Martin. In June of 2019, Dakota and Chris announced that they had broken up after 2 years together. Obviously, having been together for so long, their split was big news and the Paps just had to get in on the scoop. Well, it wasn't until a few months later when photographers spotted the two having a day together at the beach. They snapped some photos and broke the news that the two were not split up as everyone had thought. The fires of love had reignited and the paparazzi were the ones to expose the truth.
In at number 7, Mike Tyson. I have no idea why any paparazzi would want to get in Mike Tyson's face, but some still do. In 2009, Tyson was even arrested after a photographer claimed that he shoved him to the ground. Another one felt the wrath of Mike Tyson when he hounded him at an airport. Mike was at an airport going to his gate and he was being escorted by 2 traffic control cops. But one paparazzi was walking behind him, presumably to follow him to his gate. When Mike and the cops walked into an off-limits area and then the paparazzi followed, Tyson lost it. He started walking up to the paparazzi and confronted him. We don't know what exactly went on after, but it looked like the camera was knocked to the ground, and there's a high chance the paparazzi got hit too. In at number 6, Russell Brand. Russell Brand went off on the paparazzi during a date night with Katy Perry when the paparazzi followed the couple into a parking garage and invaded their space. After the paparazzi followed the couple to their car, he was so angry that he got out of the vehicle and started pushing one of the photographers away. I'm not sure if something happened beforehand that we didn't see, but Russell and Katy were in the car about to drive off when Russell all of a sudden got out of the car and confronted the paparazzi, telling them to leave. He started pushing one to leave, but when the paparazzi wouldn't budge, Russell and Katy just drove off. And at number 4, Scott Disick. Scott Disick is known for being a hothead on Keeping Up, so obviously some of that behavior is going to translate to real life when he's being confronted by paparazzi. I don't think Scott has ever gotten physical with the paparazzi, but he has definitely gotten close. There are even a few compilations on YouTube where you can see Scott getting visibly angry with paparazzi and about to totally lose his temper. The worst was when he was out with Courtney, and when they tried to get into their car, one paparazzi got a little too close to Scott and his car. This caused both of them to go off, with the paparazzi and Scott screaming at each other. with Scott telling him to get off his car along with other profanities. And seeing how physical Scott can get on Keeping Up, he's another person that I personally would definitely not be messing with if I was a paparazzi.
At number 3, Scarlett Johansson and Justin Timberlake. It is rumored that Scarlett Johansson and Justin Timberlake have gotten pretty close in the past and have hooked up in secret on a few occasions. Their secret relationship of sorts reportedly began after they worked together for Justin's music video, What Goes Around Comes Around, where Scarlett played Justin's love interest. Sources have said that the pair got very close to each other back in 2011 while Justin was dating Jessica Biel. Some sources say that after having a wild night out of town, party hopping in New York, Justin was spotted heading straight for Scarlett's apartment. Now again, nothing is confirmed, but nothing's denied either, so what do you guys think? At number 2, Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock. Apparently, there was a spicy relationship blooming between Ryan Reynolds and Sandra Bullock back in 2011. Reports said that they had enjoyed a quote-unquote close friendship for about a decade, and that they also reportedly enjoyed some secret holidays with each other as well. This all started happening after the release of their movie Proposal. They never really tried to hide their connection to one another, but they didn't really confirm anything either. They kind of just existed. The two of them apparently spent most of their time at Sandra's estate, and they were even photographed kissing on New Year's Eve. Their publicists at the time tried to convince the public that their relationship was, quote, strictly platonic, but I don't know guys, I think we really know what was going on there. And finally, at number 1, Harry Styles. When Harry Styles was still a rising star in the X Factor, he had his first celebrity hookup. Though it may have been fun in the beginning, it ultimately led Harry to being in his very first scandal, again, quite early on in his career. He bounced back from it completely, but at the time, this sneaky link was big news. Back when Harry was on the X Factor, he developed a crush on the show's presenter, Caroline Flack. Caroline wrote about this little crush in her autobiography, Storm in a Sea Cup, where she revealed that Harry's crush on her was no secret, saying, quote, I already knew that he had a crush on me, he made it pretty obvious. He'd said it in magazines and he'd said it to friends. End quote. Ultimately, they started dating when Harry was 17 and Caroline was 31. All was well with them until suddenly things got complicated. One day, paparazzi captured images of Harry leaving Caroline's house and a scandal began. Caroline shared her thoughts on what happened next in her book, writing, quote, it began to go wrong when Harry was pictured coming out of my house one morning, and once that was out, it was open season. After that, anyone could say anything. In the street, people were shouting at me, end quote. Things got so bad that Caroline even started receiving threats from One Direction fans, ultimately ending her relationship with Harry.
Starting off this countdown, we have Miley Cyrus. In 2011, Miley Cyrus was leaving a restaurant in West Hollywood with her mom when the paparazzi came rushing up towards them. One of the pops ended up brushing by Miley's mom to get a better shot at Miley, and she did not like that one bit.
What the heck? Are you serious? Or you go home there? You just hit my mom with your
I didn't hit your mom.
Yeah, you just ran into
I'll
my
never
mom with your
disrespect your
camera.
mom.
You just ran into my mom with your camera.
Miley got very defensive for her mom, telling the paparazzi off. She said, and I quote, you just hit my mom with your camera. Don't you ever do that again. You just almost hurt my mom. Don't you ever even think about it for real. Now, I personally don't think Miley did anything wrong here. She's a strong woman concerned for her mom's safety. In fact, Miley has never feared the paparazzi. She has even called them out a number of times and has expressed how frustrated she feels with how intrusive they are. In our 8th spot, we have Justin Bieber. Justin Bieber is another celebrity that has had a number of run-ins with the paparazzi. Back in 2012, Bieber was out with his then-girlfriend Selena Gomez when he got into a fight with the paparazzi. It resulted in him attacking the paparazzi, and he lost his hat and one of his shoes during this altercation. The police and an ambulance were called to the scene, but the man was okay and didn't press any charges. Then in March of 2013, Bieber got into another fight with the paparazzi. This time it happened while he was in London. Allegedly, Bieber pushed the man out of his way while trying to make it to his car. The photographer got mad and said, F off, back to America, effing little moron. That's when Justin lost his cool. He opened the car door and just went after this man. He said, I'll effing beat the F out of you. Obviously, he didn't just say F, like he said the actual curse word, but wow, Bieber, wow.
At number 7, Kristen Stewart and Rupert Sanders. At the time, this incident was big news. When paparazzi snapped photos of Kristen Stewart and director Rupert in an affair, the news blew up. Paparazzi exposed their secret relationship, and honestly, it's stuck with Kristen till this day. When you ask people why they hate Kristen, the overwhelming answer is because of her cheating scandal. The exposure was enough to end both Sanders and Stewart's relationships with their partners. The whole thing went down while filming Snow White and the Huntsman, so I guess as Twilight came to a close, so too did the coveted relationship between Bella and Edward. This scandal was probably one of the best examples of paparazzi blowing the doors of a story. At number 6, Rihanna and Ashton Kutcher. Here's the tea on this fling, so get your mugs ready. Apparently, Rihanna and Ashton had a little entanglement back in 2012 as she was spotted leaving the actor's house in the early hours of the morning back in March of that year. Sources suggested that the two had reportedly had a one-night stand, noting that the singer had arrived around midnight that night and left around 2 a.m. This spotting sort of confirmed some people's speculation that there was something going on between the two of them, because this wasn't the first time they were seen getting close to one another. According to one source, they had been flirting and texting with each other and meeting up at hotels. Other sources said that at the time they were just two single people having fun and saying, quote, "Both of them love a good time and I think they're just too busy for anything serious just yet." End quote. There was no definite end to this fling, and since it wasn't anything serious, it doesn't really matter, but it's still interesting to find out that these two Hollywood stars were so close at one point. At number 5, Ashley Olsen and Lance Armstrong. Here's a juicy little story about forbidden love. Well, not really, but it's still a little spicy. You see, actress and fashion designer Ashley Olsen and former professional cyclist Lance Armstrong had a bit of a fling in 2007, and very few people were on board with it. They started seeing each other a few weeks after Lance broke up with fashion designer Tory Burch, and sources say that Ashley and Lance were infatuated with each other. The two were spotted on a date at the Rose Bar in Gramercy Park Hotel, and they were seen macking on each other, then later leaving together in the early hours of the morning. Because there was a 15-year age gap, the people closest to Lance advised the cyclist to stop seeing Ashley over fears that this relationship and the large age difference would ruin his career. Lance tried to fight off his infatuation for Ashley, but things just ended up fizzling out a couple months later. At number 4, Kim Kardashian and Nick Lachey. Did you know that Kim Kardashian and Nick Lachey dated? Back in 2006, after splitting from his ex Jessica Simpson, Nick had his rebound game on with Kim K, who at the time was still a nobody in terms of fame. In an interview, Nick shared some details about his relationship with Kim Kardashian, where he claimed that Kim used him for fame because at this time, she was only known as Paris Hilton's assistant. During the interview, Nick said, quote, "Let's just say this. We went to a movie, no one followed us there. Somehow, mysteriously, when we left, there were 30 photographers waiting outside. There are certain ways to play this game, and some people play it well." End quote. In a way, Kim admitted that being linked to Nick worked well in terms of getting her notoriety, as she wrote in her 2010 book, Kardashian Confidential, that after dating Nick, paparazzi started calling out her name when she was out.
In our third spot today, we have Prince Harry. When Prince Harry was younger, he was a rebellious bad boy. He got caught doing a number of scandalous things. One of them being getting into a fight with the paparazzi. Now, as we know, a number of celebrities get in fights with the paparazzi, but for a member of the royal family to get into a scuffle, it's like 10 times worse because of their title. They have to act royal at all times. Anyways, when Harry was 20 years old, he was leaving a nightclub when he got into a fight with the paparazzi who was waiting outside. It resulted in Harry punching the guy in the face. Now, Harry claimed that he was just defending himself, but the paparazzi has a different story. He says that the attack was unprovoked. He was just doing his job. Harry got mad at the cameras being up in his face and he took a swing at him. In our second spot today, we have Hugh Grant. In 2007, actor Hugh Grant went off at the paparazzi. At around 10 a.m., Hugh Grant got mad at Ian Whitaker, which is one of the paparazzi members, who was waiting outside of Grant's home. He was just trying to snap a few photos of him and his ex-girlfriend, Liz Hurley. Now, I guess Grant was not having it because next thing you know, he's kicking and attacking the photographer. Allegedly, he kicked him 3 times before kneeing him in the groin. To top it all off, he picked up a family-sized tub of beans and threw it at the photographer. He was left covered in bruises and baked beans. To top it all off, as the photographer was limping away, Grant apparently asked him if he had kids. The photographer said yes, too. And Grant replied with, "I hope they die of effing cancer." In the end, Hugh Grant was arrested for assault. world. And in our number 1 spot today, we have Sean Penn. Now, if you know Sean Penn, then you know that he does not like paparazzi at all. In fact, he doesn't even like it when fans take photos of him. But that's a whole other story on its own, because he literally broke a fan's phone for taking a photo of him. Anyways, in this incident that occurred back in 2009, Sean was headed to his car when a photographer was standing close by. Out of nowhere, he walked up to the man, kicked him in the leg, and then broke his camera. As a result, he was charged and sentenced to 36 months of probation, including 300 hours of community service. I mean, I understand where these celebrities are coming from. Like, imagine having a bad day and someone's up in your face taking photos. Like, you'd go crazy not having any private time. So I get why they would lash out.